Hey, you bunch of weirdos. Welcome into Studio Day Heffrey. Today we're doing pass rushers, defensive ends, edge players. We're going with our top 10 edge players from 10 to 1 here. In this NFL draft, that's a weird way to hold that cup. Here, let me turn it the other way. We'll go with pinch that tail instead of the other way. It's a weird edge class this year because there is no clear-cut top prospect. So we've got ourselves an interesting situation here. And do I believe the Cowboys are in the market? I do, because right now you look at their defensive end group and you have Tank Lawrence, you have Randy Gregory. In theory, those would be your two starters. And behind that, you have Dorrance Armstrong and Bradley Anae. Can you play football with that? Sure you can. But are you in the market, especially in a year like this one where I think the second and third rounds might be sweet spots to potentially find a good pass rusher? Heck yeah, you're in the market. So, without further ado, we go from 10 to 1. My number 10 edge rusher in this draft, Gregory Rousseau, is number 12, if you're wondering. He should probably be 10th. I might have gone overboard with my dropping of him. Rashad Weaver, Pitt, is my number 10 edge rusher in this draft. He's just a nice, balanced player. He's got size, he's got length, he's got some pass rush to him. He's just a nice little player is what he is. And I got to tell you, before I even get into the top 10, I should probably get my notes pulled up too. Before I even get into the top 10, I want to say this about this pass rush class, this group of edge rushers. It's good. Like, no, there's not the clear-cut guy at the top, but on my top 10, I've got 2 in the first round, 6 in the second, 5 in the third, 6 in the fourth. Like, there's Jonathan Cooper at Ohio State, Dalen Hayes at Notre Dame. These are guys that to me are like 5th and 6th round, and they can make an NFL roster. And then you got guys at Notre Dame, Ogundeji, I already named Hayes, the Rumpf kid at Duke, Kando at Florida State, Golston at Iowa. Like, there's a bunch of edge guys, and some of those guys I'm naming are really safe floor players that can help an NFL team. But I'm trying, as we get up to the top, Janarius Robinson, Quincy Roche at Miami. There's a bunch of dudes, but in the top 10, we start with Rashad Weaver. At number 9, we're going to go to Ronnie Perkins, Oklahoma. I just wish he tested a little better athletically because I do like his tape. But for a guy who's not a really big edge, you would like to feel better athletically about his ability to turn the corner. But he's got some good tape. I like Ronnie Perkins. He is edge rusher number 9. Take our sippy breaks. Edge rusher number 8, Joseph Osai at the University of Texas. Now, he had transitioned from being an off-the-ball linebacker to being an edge rusher. And I should probably get pulled up the measurables so that I can give those to you guys as I go through this list, huh? Be a lot better idea if I did that. Joseph Osai, I love his tape. He's a guy that's converted from being off the ball to being up on the line and rushing the passer. And the dude just, so many of his plays are because he doesn't stop. He's 6'4", 253. He tested incredibly well as an athlete. And he plays so well. He's everywhere. You know, he's not a polished product. When you run him up against a good offensive tackle, he can be stymied. He can be stopped. But he's got the athletic tools, and he's got the motor that just leads to making extra plays. He doesn't have the huge amount of violence in his ability to get off blocks, but he's an athletic guy that never quits, and I think that works. Edge number 7. Number 7. Joe Tryon at Washington. Tryon is an opt-out. He did not play this year. But when you watch Joe Tryon on tape, give me back my damn measurables. Osai, by the way, is 6'4", 253. When you go to Tryon, one of my favorite things about him is something that does tend to translate in the NFL. is if you're 6'5" and try on 6'5", 262. When you're 6'5" and you put that to work when you're rushing the passer, it's really useful. As we keep going up this list, we'll get to Peyton Turner, who's a super long dude that knows how to use it. Joe Tryon plays with a really good forward lean, which makes him super long, and I think it helps him. Him and Osai, you could flip-flop. I could go either way on them, but I like Tryon. I like the frame. I like that when you play like he does, extended and forward, that it makes you a useful run player, and you can use that in your pass rush repertoire. I like that. Pass rusher number 6, and he's not getting out of the first round, but pass rusher number 6 is Jason Owa from Penn State, 6'5", 252 pounds. And honestly, he might be the best athlete, defensive end / edge prospect, maybe in the history of the NFL. He ran in the 4.3s at his pro days. His jumps were huge. All of his testing was great. I may have to reorder this because at pass rush, it's hard to pass on those sort of tools. Even though he had no sacks this year, he still affected the quarterback. It's just his level of athleticism, that ball of clay to work with at such an important position, he's going in the first round. He's going to, because it's too much to not take that swing on. For the moment, I'm going to leave him at 6th, but I could move him as high as 3rd. As I said, no clear-cut top guy, really a matter of preference between these 5 guys that I'm going through right now. I have them all as second-round guys. Peyton Turner at Houston. He is a solid athlete for the position, but Peyton Turner is all about the length. He's a huge guy, and he uses every bit of it, and he uses it really well. It's just so hard to keep him blocked. Because he is he 6'7"? Let me get my measurements again. 6'6", 270, 6'6" and change. So he's a good pass rusher who is a better athlete than you would think most people who are over 6'6" and 270 pounds are, but it's just that he is so freaking long that it's impossible for offensive tackles to win the hand fight. It's impossible to keep a block against him. So that is Peyton Turner. And after Peyton Turner, where do I go? Peyton Turner would be number 5, edge rusher number 5. Edge rusher number 4 is going to be Kwity Paye for me, 6'4", 272. And again, you're talking about hyper athleticism and alleged 6'5", 3-cone. He didn't run it at the pro day, but he's an athletic dude that's already a good run player. He's packed into that body. He's a former running back, and he moves like it. So he's not the pass rusher you want him to be yet, but I do think that he's so strong and packed in there and has such a good frame that he's already a good run player with the athleticism to potentially become a really good pass rusher. So Kwity Paye. My number 3 edge, I might get killed for this, Boogie Basham, Wake Forest, 6'5", 285 pounds. He was probably a little heavier this year than he was year before in 2019, and his tape was probably a little better in 2019. But, I mean, he can push the pocket. It's weird because as a 285-pounder, you're thinking he would overwhelm people with power. That's not necessarily what he does. He doesn't use everything he has well yet. He doesn't have a full understanding of how to use his hands and length, and he's just kind of a pinball that's bouncing through there. But he plays so hard, and he makes so many plays in the backfield. And according to Pro Football Focus, 112 pressures between 2018 and 2019. I'm a big Boogie Basham guy, and maybe it's because I like his name, but that is edge number 3. Jalen Phillips, Miami, is edge number 2 for me. 6'5", 266. Tested well athletically. His tape is really, really, really good. He's probably the most polished, which is weird considering he almost medically retired. But 36 pressures over his last 7 games. He can rush you he can go straight down the middle. He's got a good setup. He's got a good feel for when he should be going inside or out. He's still pretty young for a prospect. He's still 21 years old. Jalen Phillips, Miami, is edge rusher number 2. Edge rusher numero 1 is Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. Huge fan. Now, he is not as big as these other guys. He's 6'3", 240, but he's an awesome speed rusher around the corner. And in that 240 pounds, you can watch when Georgia plays Alabama. And that 240 pounds, Alabama loves to pull their guards on run plays. They'll pull big old Deontay Brown, 350 pounds of him, and he gets stopped stone cold in his tracks by Ojulari. So he understands leverage. He's a really good pass rusher already. He plays bigger than he is. And that's this pass rush class. And you could literally talk me into flipping Pay ahead of Basham, Owe ahead of Basham, Osai in front of Tryon, Turner ahead of Basham, Turner behind Tryon. Like, you could, Perkins above Osai. Like, you could do the top 9. God, you could flip them around in so many orders, and I'm not mad at you. It's just a matter of which traits do you value. What do you think you can get out of these guys within a year or 2 or 3? How much do you value floor versus ceiling? It's a weird class. It's a good class. It's just not a top-heavy class. So that is it. That's your edge rushers in this year's draft class from Studio de Jeffrey. Remember, you don't have any idea what anybody's going through, so why don't you just be cool to everybody? Leave in the comments if I left out your favorite guy. Tell me who you like. I'm about 21 edge rushers in. I'm still cramming for this thing. Check us out on 1053thefan.com every day. You can see it right there at the bottom, 2 to 7 p.m. Odyssey app, AUDACY, 1053thefan.com. We'll have these videos, and you leave your comments on the youtube.com/Jeff Cavanaugh. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on those notifications. You don't want to miss a video, do you? It's my Micro Machine Guy voice. Yeah, I love you. Bye.